Charlie, welcome to another episode of Black Coffee's Method in Madness. I think we've been running for about 7 episodes now. When I started, I didn't know I could get this far. I thought I would stop along the way. We're on episode 7. I promise you guys up to 10 episodes and talking about my life, talking about how I started AgroCenta, talking about what we've done as a business. I'm blending a lot of learnings with humor. So as I always do in the beginning of every episode, I like to give you a fun fact. Let me grab some tea before I continue. So today's fun fact is definitely going to be about tea. Did you know tea originated from ancient China? China, not United Kingdom. That was around, it was discovered around 2737 BC, that is before Christ. So before Jesus come, then Chinese people did drink tea long time. And how did they discover tea? It was discovered by one emperor called Shen Nung, Sheng Nung something. Chinese people have these long names. So he was boiling water, and apparently a tea leaf just fell into the water, changed the color. When they tasted it, it was nice, and that was how tea became discovered and also became popular throughout the Tang Dynasty from 1618 to 906 AD. After the death of Christ, that's where tea became quite popular. It's grown across India, some part of Africa, especially the cold areas. And then UK people have taken it as their World Cup. Every 5 minutes, tea in it, tea in it. So tea, now tea originated from China in the 2737 BC, before Christ. So what are we talking about today? I'm still on my Rubik's Cube. If I see you, I have to put it down. So Rubik's Cube here, the Pied Piper from Hamile, as I always call him, also there. Today we're talking about a very interesting and critical topic, a topic that is mostly overlooked, not overlooked, but swept under the carpet by founders. I'm going to call it the work-life balance. How do you keep the work-life balance if you are daring to come into this entrepreneurship space? How do you have time for yourself? How do you have time for your family? How do you have time for your friends? Above all, how do you keep a balance between a very demanding idea that you've started and also try to be people's person, try to show up? So for me, work-life balance has always been something like I call not a myth, but something that is not really achievable if you are in this entrepreneurship space. And hear me out. These are the reasons why I talk about this. So I think about a year and a half ago, I had a chance to speak to some up-and-coming young people who, I don't know what happened. They just wanted to come into entrepreneurship. Maybe they slept, they woke up and say, hey, I want to be my own boss. So there was this summit that they come and give these guys some form of inspiration to see from somebody who has been in the business for long. So when I went on stage, I think the first question I asked them was, how many of you in the room are married? Show by hands. They were young people, 22, 23, 24. I wasn't expecting most of them to be married because they were still young. So show by hands, nobody raised their hands. So they were all single or maybe in a relationship but not married. Then I said, this is the best time of your life, being unmarried. And then for you to now start in something. And most of them were laughing, they didn't understand. And I had to explain to them that the moment you get married, the moment you go into a long-term relationship, you have to juggle your time between your business and your family. And in this high growth entrepreneurship space, it doesn't work like the regular 9 to 5. No offense to the 9 to 5 people, but you find out that most of the things your friends who have regular employment will be doing, going for parties, being around for birthday parties, being around for wedding anniversaries, being around for everything, you can be doing that. They have a more structured life. Most people, when they close after 5, They have their weekend to themselves. They can take leave. They can travel. But when you are in entrepreneurship, I don't even remember the last time an entrepreneur said, I'm taking leave to go and rest or do anything. Some of them have been grinding for about 15 years. I remember my friend Kuku posted on Facebook when I talked about the burnouts. She mentioned that she's been doing this for 15 years, and the only time she took a break was to go and bury her dead husband. It's very sad, but that's the reality that you find happening a lot in this space. So you don't have the time, just like how formal people work. They go to work at 9, they close at 5. They have the rest of the time to themselves. In most cases, as a founder, you are wearing multiple hats. You're an employee, you're a salesperson. In some cases, you're even an accountant, you're a business development manager, you're a field operations person, especially at the beginning stage where you don't have a lot of money to hire multiple people. The idea must move anyway, but you can't hire all these key people because, Charlie, your money be how much? Imagine you are bringing a CFO, a COO, a CTO, bringing all these people and you can't have money to pay them. Nobody's willing to work with a company that does not have money. And that is for a fact because everybody is looking for some form of safety or security. So only a few mad people will jump alongside with you that, hey, yes, this is something that we are willing to go on that journey with you. Jesus, with all his powers and everything, had only 12 disciples. He didn't get about 50 or 100 disciples. And at that point, even when he told people to sell their personal belongings and follow him, he saw what happened. Most of them were not amused by that. So at the very early stage, you are not going to have a lot of people working with you. So you're going to wear multiple hats. That is what is going to take a lot of your time. That is something that is going to take away a lot of your time away from yourself, away from your family, because you miss a lot of birthdays. You miss your wedding anniversaries. You miss a lot of things that you need a partner who is also very strong-minded to be able to work with, to be able to stay with you, to be able to work with you. Honestly speaking, entrepreneurs have one of the rockiest marriages ever, and here divorce is very common. I had a first divorce. I was married. I had a first divorce when starting a business, and I can partly say some of these absence, etc., contributed to that. I think in one of my trips, I have a lot of friends across the African continent, and we do meet a lot in some of the events. There was one that we had gone for an event in South Africa. We had where the events were done. We were just unwinding, sitting at the bar, talking. One guy was from Angola, the other guy was from Rwanda, and I think we're just 3 boys drinking beer and saying what entrepreneurs will always say, just talking a lot of silly stuff. And one guy mentioned, "Oh, he's now going into his 3rd marriage." I said, "What? Your 3rd marriage?" And surprisingly, yes, my 3rd marriage. My first 2 marriages, they didn't work. Not because I was a bad person, but I was unavailable most of the times. I was too business driven to miss out a lot of things that the family had to offer. Today I was here, tomorrow I was there. And it's not only that. If you listen to the former UT boss, Moabe, in his book, if you've read his book, he also mentioned that I think in the prologue or in the foreword, he talked about apologizing to his kids for not being there, and whilst he was chasing his dreams. So I always say something will definitely give. You cannot be in this high pressured business environments and live a normal life. You cannot have a lot of ambition, a lot of growth, you cannot be targeting a lot of all these things and still function as a regular family man or woman. I have some female entrepreneurs who also have similar problems. The business will push you to talk to us. And then in most cases, your partner becomes your sounding board. That's why I mentioned that you need a very strong-minded partner, because that's the only person you can run to talk about your challenges in the business. Even if you are crying at night, there are the people who are going to console you, etc., etc. So in most cases, you read books, people talk about, try and have a work-life balance, do what you love, etc., etc. But the reality is, as a business owner, as a founder of any high growth venture, you cannot achieve 100% of any work-life balance. Trust me, it's next to impossible. I'll use myself as an example. I have multiple examples to be able to cite. So I remember when I lost my dad about 6 years ago. He died in May. We are taking him to the mortuary. Was preparing. We did a 1 week. Not even we did. Was preparing for the actual funeral. I had a trip I had to take to Indonesia because the trip had been planned already before he passed away. May his soul rest in peace. Yes, of course, it was a sad moment. It was a lot of things going on. But these are people who need you to come and also talk about your business. You know, there's a says they let the dead bury their dead. In this case, I was the one burying my dead. But then I spoke to my mom about it. I said, yes, definitely this has happened. But also, you need to be, how many days are you going? I said 2 days. So he said, you need to be able to stand up, wipe your tears away, travel, and then go do the business. Business must take care of itself. When they come back, we'll find a way to be able to now plan properly for your dad's funeral. So even in my mourning state, in my grieving state, I had to show up. And you can't show up and to the meetings and then tell people, yeah, you do. Tell them they will have, our condolences, have our sympathy. But then that ends for the first 2-3 minutes of the meeting. After that, nobody cares who is dead or not. Business must continue. There are multiple instances I've missed birthdays of my kids, mainly not intentionally, but there are times that you have to travel out and then the birthday comes. So you have to do a lot of video calls. And it's a way where you have to, so it's, when you're around, you have to make up for it. So what I do is, in most of my absence, anytime I'm around, I try as much as possible to make it up to the kids, take them out and buy stuff for them, let them know that is around, etc. So you will not function as a normal person. There are days that you're on the road. And I think across the entire 16 years of Ghana, myself and my co-founder, we've traveled everywhere. Duty calls, you have to jump. I always say when they say ask you to jump, you ask how high. Because at that stage, you are at the point of growing a business. You will need to be able to meet strategic people. And these strategic people don't care whether it's your wedding anniversary, whether it's your birthday, whether it's anything. Hey, I'm around in town. Can we meet up at 9 p.m.? Will you say no? Maybe you have a dinner plan with your wife at 8 p.m. You have that dinner, maybe 30 minutes to tell your wife, Charlie, these people are in town. They are here for about 2 days. And today's the last. They have to meet them before they go. So you always have to be able to make amends for things. So you will not have that luxury of having all the family time, going to church every day with your wife, wearing the same, they call it uncle, you saw the same dresses, showing up for every activity. No. In most cases, you'll be absent for about 60 to 70% of some activity that require your time. And it's no fault of yours. You are running a high growth business, a high growth venture that requires your attention. So people say, okay, so what do you do in this case? Of course, I just mentioned it. You always make time when you're around. You need a partner who is strong-willed to understand that all these things are happening is for the good of the family, is for the good of the business. And if you are a business owner and you have a very, very clingy partner, I'm sorry to say you are in trouble. Not to say clingy partners are not good, but for those who cannot stand your absence a lot, so those who cannot see why you're always on the road and it's going to create friction, it's going to create problems for you, why are you so invested in your business, etc., etc., is going to create problems among the two. Because if that starts happening and you have issues that you want to discuss, who are you going to talk to? You cannot take work-related issues. And in some cases, you can even wake up your partner about 1 a.m. and start ranting about business to them. You have to, so that's why I mentioned, you must have a partner who is strong-willed, strong-minded to know that this ship that we are in, we are really coasting a ship on rough seas for you to get ashore. And it could crash, it could land safely. Anything is possible at this point. So you need somebody who would motivate you, who would really inspire you, who would say, okay, Charlie, let's do it. So for most of these young people who are coming up, and this will segue into another conversation we'll have later, choosing a partner counts a lot, especially in terms of the business that you want to run. If you want to be able to have that ambition, the high growth ambition that you seek. So work-life balance in itself, and there are a lot of instances I've talked about: missing birthdays, missing parties, even missing a lot of important. Some friends will say, "Charlie." So now my friends, when they send me a message, the first question they ask is, "Are you in Accra, or you're running around the country, or traveling around the world?" These are the three things. And in most cases, 90% is either I'm traveling around the world, I'm traveling around the country. So a lot of events I'll miss. I have to make intentions down that, okay, this is an event I want to attend. This is something for you to go to clear your calendar. And in most cases also, your calendar itself does not belong to you, because you'll find out that it's going to be filled up by activities quickly before you, when Monday comes, before you know, Tuesday there's this to be done, there's Wednesday, we have to go, this is not working. You have to go to the field to ascertain things for yourself. I remember one time when we were having a lot of issues in one of our warehouses in the north, where a lot of commodities were getting missing. We'll talk about that later, through some employees stealing. I just told my Charlie, this is not something I would, because most of the reports we're getting were, okay, through emails, this and that, let's go to the field ourselves. So we just filled up our car, drove all the way to Boga. That's something we do often. We drive anywhere to go and ascertain things for ourselves. And I think there was one time we traveled also. I traveled with Mike, and the following day, I think if we're ending the activities on, we're supposed to end activities on Wednesday, and Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and that Wednesday was the anniversary, their wedding anniversary. I told Nachali, before we drive back from Tamale to Accra, your anniversary will be over. We'll get to Tamale maybe midnight. So we'll take a flight from Tamale to Accra. I'll drive alone. We usually travel together. I'll drive alone from Tamale to Accra. Don't worry. I'll stop in Kumasi, sleep over, and the following morning I'll drive. So Mike, we finished the activities. Mike got I think the 1 p.m. flight, flew to Accra, was able to take his wife out for the anniversary. So you understand the kind of sacrifices that will happen, and the kind of you wouldn't have it just a smooth sailing thing. It's not going to be smooth sailing. So as an entrepreneur, I think the work-life balance is something that is an individual thing. You will not have it in any template that at 5 o'clock do this, 6 o'clock do that. No. You look at your schedule, you look at how demanding your job is, and then you can work something out. But it's next to impossible to say you're going to achieve a full work-life balance where you are chasing after some ambition, you're chasing about a high good potential, and you still want to function like a regular 9 to 5. It doesn't work. All my bosses that I've worked with in my former employee life, they were just crazy. Nobody had it going home. Like, some of them will leave the office around 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Some of them either has gone through divorces, etc. So it's something that you have to be aware of. It's something that you have to be cognizant of the fact that work-life balance in this space is a myth. And it is up to you, the business person, to find some form of middle ground. And it's not going to come easy. It's going to come with a lot of negotiations. It's going to come with a lot of complaints. It's going to come with a lot of anger, etc. But eventually, you should find a common ground that works for all of you, for your employees, for your family, and for your friends. So that brings me to the end of today's session on work-life balance. Hopefully, we get to episode 10 by beginning of June. And it's been a pleasure having you listen to me rant all day about myself and what I do at AgroCenta. Thank you.